I'm here to talk on a pretty interesting topic, just sharing some thoughts on the accessibility. Maybe it's interesting to set the context first. So there are different definitions of this accessibility. So we have people who are working rightfully on how to make AI accessible for people with disabilities, for example. There is a huge work that is done there. We should do, and we should explore more. But I will not touch base on that today. I will be touching base more from the accessibility in terms of countries and institutions to this AI that we are having nowadays. So this is Hakim. So I'm coming from TAI, Executive Director, Acting Chief Researcher of the AI Research Center. Just quickly, a brief introduction of TAI. So we're based in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi. So we are a government entity and the research arm, the research and development arm of the ATRC, that is the Abu Dhabi Technology Research Council. So we're doing applied research. AI is not the only sort of topic, technological topic that we are handling, but we do much more things. We are 10 research centers exploring different facets of the technology. Probably we are known with the Falcon and the Noor large language models, but we have other colleagues also working on several exciting topics like space, robotics, cryptography, biotech, directed energy, so on and so forth. But the talk of today is more related to the AI accessibility. And I usually start with this slide because it gives us sort of an interesting perspective on the importance of AI. So we can see, it's just depicting actually the number of days or the time that it took for different technologies to reach 1 million users. So we started at some point with Netflix that took actually 3.5 years to reach the 1 million users, and the accessibility, let's say, was pretty slow. And then, going through different technologies, Twitter, Facebook, we got into ChatGPT a few years back, like a couple of years back, that took everybody in the store. So it needed actually only 5 days to reach 1 million users. So that's an interesting statistic, actually. So it shows the importance of the AI. It shows also the need for the users to get such technologies. So, but if we dig deeper into the statistics, actually, we can see at some point that these people and the people who can access and use this AI are in a specific place of the globe, right? So I would say the usual space, like the northern hemisphere of the planet. So this technology needs probably 4 pillars to exist. So the first one is the data. To build these models, you need a lot of data. And this data is mainly coming from the internet. So most of it is available publicly. But the issue that you have is that you need a lot of compute to get the data, and you need a lot of compute to also sort of clean the data and build the model. So these are the first 2 pillars. And then you have the algorithmic part. We work nowadays with the transformers. Maybe tomorrow we will work with something else. But that's something important also to have in the equation. Then we have the important thing that is the talents. That's a key thing. We don't talk a lot about the talents, but that's a very important thing to have. So the countries, the institutions that will be able to master these 4 or to control these 4, let's say, dimensions of pillars are the ones who will be able to provide the AI of tomorrow and to be able actually to access this AI tomorrow. So this AI came actually, it's not a new thing, right? Like 7, 8 years back, we have different countries that have started defining their AI strategies, right? So you have a very sort of small timeline here. So things have started in the US and South Korea back in 2016, defining the AI strategies. Then we have different other countries that followed. And then we had, for example, on our case in 2017, the UAE has defined the AI strategy 2030 AI strategy, and they appointed the minister that was specifically dedicated for AI to actually amplify and coordinate all the work that is done around the AI. A few years later, in 2013, you can see that most of the countries of the world have started actually working on their strategy, setting up an AI strategy to make sure that they can contribute to the definition of AI. And this shows also, again, the importance of the AI for the economy, for the society, and for the humanity in general. The issue is that there are two things here. So there is the definition of the strategy, and then there is the follow-up when it comes to the implementation of the strategy, right? So most of the countries, as of today, they have a strategy for AI, or they are in the process of defining the strategy. But most of the countries also, they don't have enough resources to implement this AI. So if we go back to the pillars that we had before, and I was hearing this since the first day of the AI for Good, the computing power, for example, is a huge issue for everyone, including many countries. So not everyone has the necessary resources to actually enable this. So this could be one of the reasons the slides that you have here is basically showing the cost that we need, the increasing cost that we are getting when we are building these models. So we have started with a few thousands of dollars, and now we are getting to a few hundreds of millions of dollars to get only one model. So it's a very complex process, and we believe that although the strategies are there, not everyone can afford to have these amounts to build a model. So having $100 million to build one model, and with the pace and the speed things are going, so we may need few hundred millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars, to build this kind of thing. So this makes clearly things complicated for several countries. And then I looked into a little bit more from the research perspective and from where the research is coming when it comes to the AI. So we see, again, certain tendency to have the classical actors, the classical players who are contributing to that. But I would like you just to look into this picture or this map and think for a second, right? So if we see the state of today when it comes to AI models, and we question ourselves, where are they coming from mainly, right? So I would think clearly that these models are coming mainly either from the US or the raising China as main sources, right? So we still have in Europe, for example, we have a lot of publications that are coming, but Europe clearly is lagging behind, right? So there is this polarization between the US and China, where the AI is growing extremely fast, new models are coming, Europe is lagging, and then probably we have Africa and the South America that are extremely lagging behind. So this is creating, in my opinion, another divide that I would call the AI divide, as we call it today. So in addition to the divide, the industrial divide that was created because of the Industrial Revolution, this AI is also creating another divide, and not everyone will probably be able to access this AI tomorrow if we continue in this way. So the ecosystem, so the AI is not just a model, it's not just using maximum compute to build your model. It needs much more than that. So of course you need the money, you need the budget for that, but you need the full ecosystem. And the countries, they should work into having the right ecosystem, the right actors who are involved there to make sure that we get something interesting. So we have the data. The data is the core and is a cornerstone for this AI. So we need regulations indeed, but I believe what we do not to be excessive in the regulations to be able to explore and exploit AI to the maximum. So we have the hardware providers. We see the situation nowadays. The hardware providers are localized in specific locations of the world. We have the scientists and the developers. This goes back to the talents again. It's very important to create an environment where the talents, they can work together. The governments, we see more and more involvements of the governments in the AI. It's an interesting thing, but again, we need to see what's the right way of doing these kind of things. Then we need the deployment and the business. So if we are just on the scientific side, we are not paying attention on how to deploy, how to get value, let's say economical value from this AI, things will be complicated. And then we have the community and we have the end users that need to be considered in the loop. The challenges to get a good strategy for accessible AI is the compute. The first one is the compute. So we need, once we have the data, we need to look in the compute. And the compute nowadays, again, I was hearing this during these 3 days, the compute is a blocking point for many of the actors. And we need to think, let's say, as a community on how to solve that. So building AI needs a lot of budget. It needs a lot of resources, like financial resources. This is a blocking thing. It's good to have a strategy that is on the paper, but to be able to implement it, we need a lot of resources. The quality of the outcomes, we have the IP issue, so we see more and more work that is closed source, I would say. Everybody wants to keep the IP because there may be something interesting in that. I believe that we can find something more open, or at least more hybrid, sharing things that are slightly open or things that are slightly closed. I think the other thing is the politics. It's an important thing. We are actually at a time where we are almost on the edge, right? In between having the opportunity to explore AI, to make it more accessible for everyone, or we close everything, or even we even stop some innovations that may come from there. How to make AI accessible? The first thing we often, I believe, forget this, is the digitalization or the digital transformation. So most of the countries that we have today, it's nice we are talking about big models, intelligent models, so on and so forth, but we have a lot of countries today which do not have access to the internet, for example, right? They don't have powerful machines. They are still working on paper, right? So the digital world is still lagging on those countries. So we still need to keep that in mind. Before jumping to the AI, there is a need to help those countries also to come to a point where they can exploit their digital content. The second thing is the model training. Model training is extremely hard. But we cannot ask everyone to build a model, to train a model from scratch. So we have different actors, including us, who are open sourcing the models that we have. So not everyone needs to start from scratch. Taking the models that are there and then building on top of them, doing some continuous training would be useful for everyone. The inference, again, it's the same story. So you need a lot of hardware, a lot of resources to be able to run the inference. Not everyone can access that. So we need to think of ways to run or to be able to exploit and access these models on the inference time on smaller devices, for example. Smaller devices, either computers, either phones, or these kind of things. We cannot just consider that to run an inference, you need a big cluster of GPUs that not everyone can afford. And then the talents is a critical thing. We need to do training. We need to organize a community that is able to train people and to form the talents of tomorrow. Just to link it to that, so a couple of contributions from our side, from TAI. The first one is the Falcon Foundation. So what we are doing is that we are providing all our models as open source. The Falcon Foundation was set up with a $300 million budget to help all the community, all the developers who cannot access for compute, for example, to build things on top of Falcon. So we provide the model, we provide budget, compute budget for developers and researchers, and then they just need to put everything they need to build on top of Falcon. The only condition that we ask for is that whatever is built has to go back to the Falcon Foundation to be open source for the community again. So we are very supportive in that, and we are trying to coordinate all those efforts around Falcon. The second thing that we have, and this should be my last slide, so is that we have launched to help the countries that are not able to access this AI to build, either to move forward when it comes to the digital transformation, or to be able to exploit AI. So AI either at the generative models sense, meaning, or AI in terms of machine learning and related technologies. So we have a program or a fund that is specifically dedicated for that with the $200 million, and we are supporting those countries to get a little bit more modernized when it comes to AI and the digital world. Just few concluding remarks here. So the AI is getting less accessible, mainly because of the cost, mainly because of the resources that it needs to be run. So we should actually look into how to make it more accessible, work together, and bring the necessary talents to work on that. So the AI divide, if it continues this way, definitely will have an impact, will change or will reshape actually the world, and then the economy, the politics probably will be impacted. One thing that we need to think about is probably, are we doing or exploiting or exploring the right AI? Is it the right path that we are doing? So the way we are doing it today probably is costly and may create some issues down the road. So we are very excited with what's happening, but we should probably keep in mind that there may be other options that we need to think about in the future. So we are working to support the communities and different countries in getting a little bit to lift them up and get them to use the AI and exploit the AI. And as I showed before, so we have two main initiatives, the Falcon Foundation and the ATRC Fund for the developing countries. Thank you very much.